Hey, welcome to another character spotlight video. This video is on Spider-Man, my personal favorite superhero of them all. He is the icon of Marvel Comics. If you had to name the one character who represents Marvel Comics the most, it's Spider-Man. He's the one who sells the most books. He's the one who is their number one hero. Even though they have a lot of great heroes, he's the one at the top. And created in 1962 by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. The origin of Spider-Man is actually wrapped in controversy. The story goes basically that there was a character called the Silver Spider, and it was basically a teenager who rubbed a magic ring and he became an adult, and it was also basically derived from a Joe Simon and Jack Kirby character called the Fly. And the Fly concept was basically Captain Marvel, Shazam. That's basically what it was. It was nothing like the Spider-Man we know today. What happened was, when Stan and Jack were talking, it was noticed that this character of that Spider-Man was basically too derivative and too much of a copy of what was out there already in terms of the Fly. And so Stan Lee started new with Steve Ditko. And it was Steve Ditko who actually, in my opinion, deserves more of the credit of who Spider-Man is and who he became than Stan Lee. Steve designed the costume, he designed Peter Parker, he designed the characters in Spider-Man's world, like all the main villains. He's the one who came up with the spider senses concept. Something like he came up with the wrist shooter device and the webbing and how that went, because Stan Lee didn't talk about costume designs or how the webbing went, and he didn't talk about like sticking to walls. I mean, Steve just interpreted that as, you know, a spider would just naturally stick to walls. You know, that's what spiders do. The visual style was something that was just totally different back in the day. And just my opinion, but had Jack Kirby and Stan Lee made Spider-Man, it would be nowhere near the icon that Spider-Man became. Their version would have went one way, Stan and Jack, but what Steve brought to the table with Stan Lee, the Stan and Steve version of Spider-Man, went totally a separate way. Where the name may be the same, but there were just such differences in the final product of what would have been one way, and the final product that was published and the character that it became went this way, and that was the Stan and Steve version that became the Spider-Man that we know today. And you could see Steve Ditko's footprints on the character in just tons of ways, because it was so different than what Jack Kirby was doing in the other Marvel books that were these grandioso, super-powered heroes that were just like smashing everything, and it was just very bombastic. And Steve Ditko was a different type of artist. He was more the internal struggle of the characters. He was more about very more down to earth, and it made it really relatable. Stan Lee basically, I think, even said his two favorite artists were Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko in terms of who he worked with. Part of the reason why was because both of them were so creative and brought a lot to the comic strips, just a lot to the table. Jack Kirby brought a lot to the table, and I'll have talks about him in future videos and his characters, but this is about Spider-Man, and what Steve Ditko brought to the table was just a huge amount of stuff. Had it been any other artist making Spider-Man, Spider-Man would not have become the icon and character that he is today. it would probably not be one of the most recognized comic book characters culturally around the world. What Stan and Steve did was, besides setting up the main hero and his supporting characters, which was a lot of supporting characters, they introduced close to a dozen of his most prominent villains that are still around today. You have characters like Dr. Octopus, the Green Goblin, Kraven the Hunter, the Chameleon, Mysterio, Electro, the Vulture, the Sandman, the Scorpion, the Lizard. It's like it was a fully realized comic strip with many layers to it. Besides being a great book, when John Romita Sr. took over the comic strip, you could see how the artist influenced the book, because when Romita Sr. took over the book, the whole flavor of the book changed. It became something else. But the foundation of the character was already set in stone. That foundation was so solid that even today, writers and artists go back to the early Spidey days for inspiration and storyline ideas. What also helped make Spider-Man such an icon was, I think, the 1960s animated show with the Spider-Man theme as a really catchy song and a really catchy theme. Okay, that influenced a lot of viewers, I think, for recognition. Then Spider-Man's been in video games, he's been in various animated series, he's been in movies. Finally, in the 00 decade, did technology catch up and make superheroes actually look cool on the big screen? The popularity of Spider-Man is just, it's always been a high point of Marvel Comics. Every decade, he's either at the top or very near the top in terms of Marvel Comics and who their most popular selling character is, or popular selling book. It's always near the top. His recognition and who he is as a cultural icon is without question established. He's the world over known. Just about any section of the world knows Spider-Man. If you say the name, they have a visual idea of who you're talking about. He's an icon, just a great character, one that's been around for close to 50 years, and there's no stopping it. It's going to be around for a long, long time. He's my favorite superhero character. Thanks for watching. I'll have more Spotlight videos in the future. Subscribe if you haven't already. Talk to you later. Just want to tell you one more thing, but wait a minute. Spidey sense is tingling. Oh, he's here. Get out of here. Where are you, Spider-Man? Found me, huh? And take this. Some of this. He sent a flunky this time, did he? Took care of that situation. He wanted my mask and everything. I'll talk to you web spinners later.